University. I, Shailaja, deem it my relation of Srimati Rukmini Shyamraju Memorial Endowment Lecture Series on Women Empowerment. The lecture series is of women empowerment. More importantly, it aims to spread awareness that empowerment is not something that comes from outside. Empowerment is not something that somebody gives you with, but that women need to empower themselves from within. It's about that confidence that you develop towards you. It's to bring to youngsters information that empowerment is the power that you develop within you and the confidence that comes by your empowerment from within. And it's also about the power to stand up for the right cause if you believe that you are right. In the lecture series, we would be having with us the women achievers from various fronts who would address our students on various aspects related to women empowerment. Indeed, we are very fortunate to have with us one such achiever today, Dr. Shalini Rajneesh, IAS, Principal Secretary, Department of Backward Classes and Welfare, Government of Karnataka, to inaugurate the series of lectures. We would not have asked for a better person to inaugurate the same than Dr. Shalini Rajneesh, who by herself is a synonym to an empowered woman. This day and this very august gathering is possible just because of one woman's passion and keen interest towards making the children educated and more particularly the girl child. Even though Srimati Rukmini is not with us today, she has been living her dreams in Rukmini Knowledge Park. She is, I am sure, seeing the world through the eyes of our Honorable Chancellor, Dr. P. Shyamraju. With the deep-rooted respect towards the departed soul, I thank our Honorable Chancellor for making this day possible. For the inauguration of the lecture series in memory of Srimati Rukmini, we have with us on the dais our Honorable Chancellor, Dr. P. Shyamraju, Chief Guest, Dr. Shalini Rajneesh, Trustees of Rukmini Educational Charitable Trust, Srimati Arati B. Raju and Srimati Tanisha Raju, Vice Chancellor, Dr. V.G. Talwar, Principal Director, Dr. S.Y. Kulkarni, Registrar, Dr. Dhananjay, and Director Planning, Dr. Ramesh. Off the dais, we have with us the principals and the head of the departments and the directors of different educational institutions. We have with us the principals, Dr. Sunil Kumar Manvi, Professor Beena, Professor Shubha, Professor Bairegowda, and Professor Rajshekhar. We also have with us directors and head of the institutes of different departments. We also have the invitees, friends from the media, my esteemed colleagues, and my dearest students. Rashtrakavi Kuvempu gave a very beautiful message through one of his poems, O Nanna Chetana, Aguni Aniketana, where he gives a message to all not to be bound by any walls, not to be easily satisfied by our achievements, and try and overcome all our weaknesses. The great poet also gives out the message to all to rise above the finite. Through this beautiful and yet very meaningful song, I request Professor Sheetal and group to render the welcome song and set the stage towards a beautiful and a blessed beginning for the inauguration. also to welcome the dignitaries on and off the dais, may I invite Dr. N. Ramesh, Director Planning, to render welcome address.
Yeah, good morning. Honorable Chancellor of Reva University, Dr. P. Shamaraju, the Chief Guest, Keynote Speaker, very dynamic Administrator, Dr. Shalini Rajneesh, Trustees of Rukmini Educational Charitable Trust, Madam R.P. Raju and Madam Tanisha Raju, Honorable Vice Chancellor, Dr. V.G. Talwar, Principal Director, Dr. S.Y. Kulkarni, Registrar of Reva University, Dr. Dhananjay, Principal of RITM, Dr. Sunil Kumar Manvi, Principals of Reva Sister Institutions, Madam Beena, Madam Shubha, Professor Baregara, Dr. Rajshekhar, friends from the print media, esteemed directors, and student friends. I deem it to be a great honor to welcome this august gathering, especially distinguished dignitaries, scholars, students, and well-wishers present here for the inauguration of Srimati Rukmini Endowment Lecture Series on Women Empowerment. The lecture series to be held in the memory of late wife of Dr. P. Shamaraju, being a soulmate and inspiration to reach out to society. RECT and Reva Group of Educational Institutions under the aegis of Rukmini Educational Charitable Trust. Today is a red letter day in the history of Reva. Reva University is proud to announce the inauguration of these lecture series on women empowerment. The lecture series has been initiated with the purpose of working towards empowerment of women and girls, sensitizing the student community about the same. Here in Reva, there has been a relentless effort to make education relevant, efficient, effective, and excellent. It is an answer to the question of our times on considering both globalization and ingraining values in the hearts and minds of youth. Apart from this, to go back to society, a strong, committed, competent leaders are required to drive societal development. It all started with the seed idea of giving back and the dream of Srimati Rukmini Shamaraju. Thanks to our Chancellor, Dr. P. Shamaraju, for his constant support, guidance, and motivation. Sir, the Reva University is here because of your constant support and motivation to every one of us. On behalf of everybody present here, it's my pleasure to welcome you to this morning function for the inauguration of Rukmini Shamaraju Memorial Endowment Lecture Series. When we thought of having the inauguration of the lecture series, only one name stuck to everybody's mind in our office. That is, and that too, a person who has been awarded a degree of Doctor of Literature for her contribution to the women empowerment and public administration by the prestigious Karnataka State Women's University, the person who has authored many books, including Creating Your Future, Nade Munde, Nimma Bhavisha, Nimma Kayalli, and it is none other than a very proactive, a very dynamic administrator, Dr. Shalini Rajneesh. We are singularly fortunate to have such an eminent person with us today to inaugurate the prestigious Rukmini Shamaraju Lecture Series. Madam, it is a pleasure to welcome you to this morning function. And I deem it as my pleasure to introduce Madam to the august gathering. You may not believe, Madam has topped, she's a woman topper and the youngest in the batch in 1989 IAS. she has won gold medal in both BA and MA in psychology from Punjab University. After joining service, she completed her PhD in rural development from Mangalore University and MBA from La Trobe University, Australia. She is even into teaching, not just administration. She is the guest faculty for Central University MBA course. She has presented many papers at the national and international forums. And the moment if you ask her, tell me your momentous experience till you had. And the answer is very good. What she says is, in 2006, a new Vidhana Saudha was built in Belgaum, and the first session, which happened in 2006, at that time she was the Deputy Commissioner of Belgaum District, and it is just a wonderful job. It's not easy to get all the MLAs, all the ministers and all the commissioners to come to one place and work together. Of course, Vidhana Saudha we have in Bangalore, it's happening regularly, but to shift from Bangalore to Belagavi and to host it successfully, for that she got an award from the Chief Minister also for having done such a wonderful job. Really, we are proud of you, ma'am. And she served as Secretary to Government, Women and Child Development Department and Panchayat Raj Department in Karnataka, and won the second best Panchayat Raj National Award. She has been selected as the Bureaucrat of the Month twice, during the month January 2011 and February 2013. And of course, she is the National Resource Person for Implementation of Administrative Reforms Commission recommendations at Government of India. So she has first in every aspect, whether it's the studies, whether it's the administration, whether starting a new assembly, all credit goes to Madam Shalini Rajneesh. And let me tell you, she is second to none in this so-called men's world. She is a role model to many thousands of people. Madam, indeed a pleasure to have you with us to inaugurate such a prestigious lecture series, Srimati Rukmini Shamaraju Memorial Endowment Lecture Series. Once again, welcome, madam. So, in fact, a big list here, maybe having you only hardly 5 minutes to speak today. So, anyway, when ma'am is not there, I'll explain everything about her later. And it's also my pleasure to welcome the trustees who rarely come to the dais. They are involved in the activities, but today they are here with us on the dais. It's really a great day for Reva. We have both Aarti madam and Tanisha madam with us, the trustees. And of course, let me tell you, Aarti madam graduated from Mount Carmel College. And she is known for her, she's a symbol of quiet strength and courage, dignified and duty conscious, and reaches to people, and very easily accessible, very humble and down to earth. Madam, it's a pleasure to have you here, and she's the right person to speak about Madam Rukmini today, and nobody else can speak like what Aarti ma'am said. Madam, it's a pleasure. I'm sure that here I will keep coming and motivating every one of us in Reva. I also take the pleasure to welcome our own trustee, Madam Tanisha Raju. Of course, now she's very focused, very active, helps with the branding aspects, extremely talented and self-driven. And she is also a role model to every one of us. Madam, it's a pleasure to have you with us. I welcome on behalf of everybody present here. Welcome to Madam Tanisha Raju. Friends, it's a pleasure to welcome Honorable Vice Chancellor, Dr. V.G. Talwar. You know that we are going in the right direction to make a name, and we want to be one among the top few hundreds, maybe within 500 or 300, maybe down the line 5 to 10 years in the globe. And we're all working together. also take the opportunity to welcome Dr. S.Y. Kulkarni, the Principal Director of Reva University. It is a pleasure to welcome Dr. Dhananjay, the Registrar of Reva University. I take the pleasure to welcome Dr. Sunil Kumar Malvi, the Principal of RITM, and the Principals of the respective institutions. Madam Beena, Madam Shubha, Dr. Baregowda, Dr. Rajshekhar, and all the directors who are present here, respective directors of respective schools. It's a pleasure to have you all here. And of course, you are there, the program is there. And we're all happy. Welcome to every one of you, and welcome to all the people who have come to the press media. And before I conclude, let me quote Vivekananda: the best thermometer to measure the development of a nation is its treatment to women. Thanks for the opportunity.
Thank you, sir. On behalf of all here, sir, I extend a very warm welcome to you as well. To give an illuminated beginning to our initiative, and with a prayer to the Almighty that may our path be always bright, I request the dignitaries to proceed towards the lamp and light the seat.
To all the dignitaries on the dais, and good morning to all present in the hall. I was asked to talk of my mother and to tell a little about her, but to tell in brief about her is not enough. I can go on and on about her because the number of qualities she has, I don't think any of us would even find even one person who has those qualities. A beautiful woman uses her lips for truth, her voice for kindness, her ears for compassion, her hands for charity, and her heart for love. This is the reflection she was. Rukmini Shamaraju, my moralizer and a lady of great abilities and love. To start a little as how her journey was, let me start from what she was that I have heard about her before her wedding and when she came into this city. She was born in this village in Andhra Pradesh called Palyam. A very simple lady. She was the youngest of the lot. She lost her dad when she was about 5 years old. And she then started working hard as she was one of the ladies who would work in the fields to bring up and to keep the family together because she had two older brothers. The older brother had come to town for work, but she would go into the fields and work like a man. I've heard so many stories about her that she would carry a sack of hay what a man could carry. It would feel so proud when I would hear stories about her. Then, at age about 20 to 21, she got married to my father. She had never ever stepped out of those, I won't say four walls, but a small village where had small hills. She had never ever stepped out. And she came into this town and she was so thrilled to see where she was. But what she was till the end, till the last day, can never be enough to say. She was a lady of simplicity, ever smiling, very understanding. Patience. Today, if all of us as a family, if we are something, she was the pillar for success. I can proudly say, if my dad is something today, she's the backbone of it, proudly, and she would always be welcome with open arms to learn. She had the urge to learn. I would maybe like to tell one or two incidents of what she has done. There was this man after she passed away, when those mourning days that we were, there was this man who came in a wheelchair. He said, "Madam, today I'm in a wheelchair because of her. She was the one who bought me this." And those 13 days of mourning that we did, and the amount I've heard about her is immense. Every day at least one or two people would walk into the house who I haven't even seen and would talk about her, what she was. Of course, as a child, I would know only as a mother, but as a human being, I've heard so many things about her. He had tears in his eyes and he said, "Today, I have a wheelchair because of her." And the happiness that I found in him cannot be described. There was another incident where she actually got this water supply or a tap to be put outside our house compound. She said, "Summers are getting worse every year." And she put this tap and she kept this pot of water, said whoever could come outside, pass by, could have water. And this is something that she's done in many places, like in the farm and things like that. In fact, recently I heard an incident, I think from Principal Shubha, that she got into an auto, and when she said where she was working, that auto man said, "Oh, that lady, I know her." Even an auto guy who's a common can know her. You can imagine what she was. She was one of the ladies who kept the family together. She was also a lady who had never actually even stepped into the gates of schools, but she was excellent in calculation. The moment we would say, okay, she would go to a vendor and say, okay, this much, she would buy a number of vegetables, and even before that man could calculate, she would just give the exact change. These small things of what she was can never be ended, but everything has to come. As with small time that I have to tell about her, you can, I think, now imagine what she was. Of course, both of them have supported each other, both my mother and my father both, and they are the wheels of the bullock cart which are together, and both have supported each other. I would end to say, I would like to be half of the woman she was, and would like to end this. Thank you so much.
Which is under the aegis of Rukmini Educational Charitable Trust. Thank you once again, ma'am. Srimati Rukmini Memorial Endowment Lecture Series on Women Empowerment is an initiative by Reva University, and this day marks the inauguration of Reva Women's Forum as well. And to give an introduction of the objective and the rationale behind Reva Women's Forum, may I now invite Professor Beena, Principal, Reva Institute of Science and Management.
Dignitaries on the dais. Foremost, I thank Madam Aarti for having shared things straight from her heart. Stay blessed, all of you, for having been nurtured by a mother like that. And I'm sure all of us are blessed to be a part of this endeavor. I stand here to give a rationale to the Women's Forum. Well, this defies no sense of logic, because I do not think any one of us needs to give a rationale for having a forum which concerns, at the core, a human issue rather than just being a women's issue. It's often said that strong women make strong families and hence strong nations. The subject of women's empowerment is a global issue, it's a burning issue. Many agencies of United Nations in their reports have emphasized, re-emphasized, reiterated that gender issues need to receive utmost priority globally. In several reports, there are startling statistics from across the globe, and one such is this. In one UN report, it says, if women had access to productive resources of the world, it could reduce the number of hungry people in the world by a staggering 12 to 17%. I think this says it all. All of us, I'm sure, like the majority of people across the world, believe with conviction that gender equality and women's empowerment are goals that we need to pursue collectively, taking us towards progressive alternatives from where we are to where we should be. These are nothing but opening avenues of simple choices for the girl child across the world, for opportunities that they can take as they traverse along the journey of life, and only then can there be some kind of a progression which is inclusive, be it families, be it societies, be it communities, be it nations, or be it the world. Much has definitely changed over the years. All of us have been witnessing to this, but as much still remains to be done. And sometimes we wonder when we look at the newspapers that the kind of gross violation that happens, we wonder that the most fundamental, basic human right, is violated with the sheer violence that is let loose in the name of domestic violence or gender violence, or be it dowry death, or be it female infanticide. So we do have a long way to go ahead, basically because the development of society is lopsided. Practically, in reality, we do understand that pockets of progression does happen. We are privileged rather to be aware, to be a part of the urban society. But then when we look around, we do understand, we do realize that there is another half which is deprived of this basic awareness that could lead them towards better lives. So these are to be opened, the choices, the doors of education, the doors of opportunities, the doors of healthcare to every girl child across the world. And we stand, obviously speaking about the country India, where no son's education or no son's healthcare is at the cost of the daughter's education in the family. So these are small choices that we look forward to every girl child being given. And where do we stand as a university? We stand as a university on this forum with not just belief but conviction that we provide a platform for the triggering of such ideas, because changes do not happen overnight. Changes begin with brainstorming, changes begin with communicating, changes begin with interaction. So the Women's Forum of REVA University is, believing in this cause of giving a platform for such healthy interaction. And I would draw your attention to the dais and also to the audience that the conviction is shown very clearly in the sheer number of male people, dignitaries who are on the dais, who are hand in hand with all of us as far as the issue of women empowerment is concerned. So a huge round of applause to the fact that this university believes in the whole human issue. It's not just to do with gender, because we do understand that this is a holistic approach that needs to be taken. The young men sitting across, you would be a part of society, or you are a part of society in your roles as brothers, as sons, as fathers later. The male community is equally important in spreading this awareness that this is fundamentally about human rights. This is fundamentally about the core human values, and we need to complement each other. So with that rationale, the REVA Women's Forum very strongly believes in taking up this as a platform for exchange of ideas, for awareness, because we believe that one idea can actually trigger a change in the longer run. And very importantly, we look at all of you as ambassadors to equipping yourself with life skills, that tomorrow you could stand by your sister or your mother or your friend who needs support. It's not help that we're talking about, it's just that holistically we need to stand shoulder to shoulder and then traverse the journey ahead, moving closely into the community, because we do not believe in the long run that we should be restricted into the college campus. Rather, and more importantly, with our responsibilities as social beings, we do believe and we do have a dream that the Women's Forum of REVA will reach out to the community outside the portals of the college to do something that we could to bring in this kind of a platform which can be commonly accessed by the women across Bangalore probably. So we do have plans, and then this is a very important interactive intellectual platform that we are talking about, where certain actions can be triggered through the ideation of certain thought process. So at the end, it's a journey towards progressive alternatives. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am, for the detailed rationale for having this Reva Women's Forum. Before we go any further, I request the chief guest, the Chancellor sir, and the trustees to kindly inaugurate the series of lectures that we're going to have in the days to come. Thank you all. A dynamic and an incisive bureaucrat with a legacy of success in managing public administration enterprises, a strategic decision maker, widely acclaimed in whatever positions she has held till now, an inspiring author, a vivid reader, a great columnist, an excellent orator, and the list goes on. That's none other than our chief guest, Dr. Shalini Rajneesh. On this very special occasion at Reva University, ma'am, I request you kindly to address the gathering.
Ecstatic to be here and be part of the inauguration of the Memorial Endowment Lecture series on women empowerment in the name of a great personality, Srimati Rukmini Shamaraju. Being herself not literate, she has inspired to ensure that all of you and many more get degrees, get educated, get empowered. Let's give her a big hand. Woman, as you know, includes man. And therefore, I am sure these Women Empowerment Lecture Series includes all of us. And when I say that, and I was so happy to hear that Dr. Shamaraju has taken up this Reva University as part of his CSR initiative. It's indeed the greatest Danam, Vidya Danam, Mahadanam, and I congratulate him and should add that behind every successful man is a, and woman includes all of us, man also. And I take this as beginning of this lecture when I wrote a book called Creating Future, and it's a workshop, and therefore I request you to interact, and I've got the mic over there. I'll be asking you questions because it's about you, right? It's not about just a lecture and forgetting about it. I wrote this book because most of us have this feeling that we will become what we are destined to become. How many of us believe that? None. You believe? Good. But there are many people who have dreams. Many of you here, 99%, who have dreams, and you know you can create your future. And it's all about how to create it very fast and very successfully. Some psychological techniques, some management techniques which will come very handy to you, not just in future but in the present. Please move on the slides. Yeah? As we see, how many of us dream about our future? Dreams everybody does. You dream about your future? Yeah? How many of you have lot of thoughts in your mind? Others have no thoughts. Great. A thinking mind is before me, so I'm very happy to be with you. But how many of them are aimless thoughts? Large portion? Yeah? We'll now see how to tame it. Tame the aimless ones so that we reach the destination we have chosen to reach. I'll ask you for a quick mental exercise. All of us have how many hours in a day? How many hours we sleep? 8 hours. The remaining hours we'll talk about how we spend on physical activity. You know what is physical activity? Social activity, emotional, love, care, spiritual activity. I don't think so. Work, travel, and last of all, mental activity. Thought about it? Quick. Yes. How much time we give for physical activity, percentage wise? 1 hour. Social activity, 24 hours. Emotional activity, FB, WhatsApp, all inclusive. 45 hours. Okay, we come to mental activity. How much of us, our time, goes into developing my mind is mental activity. How much of my time I spend on developing my mind? I don't mean by listening lectures you are developing your mind. We'll show you how. How much time? Faculty? Dice? How much time we spend on developing our mind or mental faculty? Minutes? Seconds? Seconds? 2 seconds? 3 seconds? Good. What is mind? Anybody can say, what is mind? Mind your business. What is mind? No idea? But that can happen without our mind working, right? Otherwise we are into the asylum, not Reva University. There is a division between conscious mind and a subconscious mind. You've seen iceberg? What is the tip of the iceberg? Is conscious mind. And what is below that is a subconscious mind. So what is big? Subconscious mind. But do we know about this big energy? Do we know? We'll ask questions. Say yes, no. No, you know it. We had a small experiment on subconscious mind, and subconscious mind basically means it's not under your control. Right? It just goes on happening as I asked you. Do you all think? Do you have a lot of thoughts? That's subconscious mind. Without your actually making an effort, mind keeps working, and that's subconscious mind. The psychologists made an experiment and they calculated on an average how many thoughts do we have per day. Any guess? It is a guess because I don't think you would have seen this book or experiment. Something in thousands, I did. 3,000? Option number 1. 3,001? 3,002? 5? Oh, you're going very slow. Let me answer. 60,000 thoughts a day. 60,000 thoughts a day. Can you believe? And out of these thoughts, how many of these actually translate into action? If I had 60,000 on an average, how many really I act upon? This is not a guess, this is a reality. How many do I act upon? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, yeah? And how many of these actions I go on repeating? Like I take bath, I brush my teeth, yeah? And what do they become? Our habits. Again, without realizing. Unconsciously they become our habit. And we maintain these habits across our life and it becomes our. And what is a character? Character tells what you are. Yeah? She is a gentle person. Aarti just mentioned. What was the character of a mother? Yeah? It defines what their habits, what their thoughts, what their actions were. And finally, what your character is determines what your future is. Because you define and you are creating. Creating future not just for yourself, but for many others. I'll now quickly take you to 7 success principles. We all want to create future? How many of us want to create future for ourselves? Everybody. Now, how many of us want to create future for others? Very few. By the end of the series, I promise you will create future for others. Okay. Going back to control. How many of you like to be controlled by your teacher, or principal, or vice chancellor, or your mother, or your father? How many like to be controlled? Nobody. How many of you can control yourself? Hey, what did you teach? They're already learned people. Yes. Which one do you prefer? Being controlled by others or being controlled by self? And why do you want people to control you? Should not have, no? Universities should not be there. Mother and father should not be there to control. We should control ourselves. But just to teach us to control ourselves, they are there. So let's celebrate them. Let's give them a big hand. I think they are there. But this being so, do I control others? How many of us control others? Try to control others. We don't like to be controlled. But do we try to control others? We do. Should it be good? Should it be done? Should not be. So the first success principle is we should not try to control others and better take control of ourselves. The second C is about complaining. Half glass full, half glass empty. I know you will all say half glass full. Yeah? But how many of us really choose that half glass full or a small little opportunity given to us to make the best out of it? If we do, I'm sure we get what we want to get, and ultimately we are happy about what we are doing. But if we don't, we are left complaining. Somebody, your chancellor asked me, how do you get time for all this? I said, I have no time to complain. I'm so busy doing creating, but I have no time to complain. If I don't use my time well, I end up complaining. And where does it lead you? Certainly not in one of the successful figures of the humanity. The third is about comparing. How many boys compare yourself with Shah Rukh Khan? And how many? It's getting recorded, by the way, they'll see you later. We do. And Aishwarya Rai? Or somebody? Yes. Or maybe the topper of the class, or topper of the country, or some course. We compare. And what is the feeling that you are left behind when you compare? What is the feeling? Feel good or bad? Pretty bad about yourself. And what does it do? Further sap your energies. Doesn't leave you positive, right? So this is the C which we should remain away from. Let's not compare. And if at all you have to compare with yourself with what you were yesterday. And then say, yes, I'm better today. And I'm better tomorrow. And you are the best. Fourth is change. Is it easy to change? We say very good. We are going for a change. Is it easy to change? That same thoughts, action, habit, character, can you change? But is it impossible? It's not. What do you see in this? Quick! A girl. That's a boy saying. What do the girls see? Old lady, that's also a boy scene. Yes, it's a girl, it's an old lady. Why do we see what we want to see? Why do we see what we are wanting to see? Just happens, no, unconscious. It's the subconscious mind that's working on it. Yeah? Now what do you see? Both. This is holistic perspective. We see both. The negative, the positive, the half, the full. And then take a conscious decision to say what I am going to do with my life, my thoughts, my actions. What do you see here? A picture of a girl and a boy and a vase. Yeah, that's your choice. Right? Nothing right or wrong. It's your choice. And you're happy about it. This is taking us to the fifth C, the choice. How many times do I actually exercise my choice? And how many times I am made to exercise a choice by others, even if they are your parents? How many of you have come to Reva University by your choice? By others' choice? Small minority. We have very independent thinking people here. Good. Why should we make our own choice and not allow others to make a choice for us, our future, our present? And at the same time, same logic, Why should I allow others to make a choice and not force my choice on them? And that's what married men do. What do they do? She will say it. they want to make a choice for their wives, and that brings down the barometer of women empowerment. Yeah? Instead of empowering you, it can be not just man, woman. I'm just saying it for one simple example we see every day, but that's one reason where one person makes a choice of others, and that lowers the empowerment. So what is the opposite of that? You allow the others to make a choice. But the choice should be a responsible choice. And I'll show you how. Because you may end up, why your parents, or your elders, or your well-wishers, they don't force you, but they certainly ask you to make a choice. Why? Because in your own interest, they don't want you to commit a mistake, which they have learned through their experience. That's the reason they ask you. But if you take it as an imposed choice, you will keep cribbing about it. Because my father said, because my mother said, I did this and I'm not happy with this. You keep complaining. But if you take the logic of that choice and take it as your choice by analyzing the good and bad of it, then you will never complain and you will make the best of that choice. And we'll show you how. There are, I've seen a video of Amitabh Bachchan where he was very frustrated. He never got any job after his degree. So the boys thought together each other and they said, the person who is exclusively responsible for this misery of these young men, unemployed men, is the father. Goes to his father and says, we have decided you are to be blamed. You never asked me if I wanted to come into this world, and now you brought me in this world and I am left unemployed. The father was aghast, didn't say anything. Next day morning, left a piece of paper, and the paper said, I kept on thinking about your question, my son. And then I got the same reply. My father never asked me before I was born. So did his father and my great-grandfather, and so on. Nobody ever asked. So the solution I found for you is, before your son is born, ask him. I don't know whether Abhishek was asked. So whether it's a matter of accident, or a choice, it's up to you to make the best out of it. We take you to the 6th C, that's courage. We all like to be courageous, don't we? But are we always courageous? And if not, why? The simple answer which psychologists give is, we have fear of failure. Why we don't show courage for something is because I'm worried, I'm afraid that I may not be successful in doing what I'm planning to do, isn't it? And as a result, I give up. Yeah? But if you conquer this fear of failure by logically thinking into your strategies, how and what kind of obstacles you will come across and how you will face them and conquer them, you are bound to conquer them. Yeah? So it's a mental calculation. Again and again, I'm bringing you back to that subconscious iceberg. Use that subconscious thinking and you will conquer whatever problem comes your way. And the last C that I'm talking about is contribute. When we made the right choices, we made our right career, character and destiny and all that, it's time to contribute to others. Yeah? And that's what precisely Mr. Raju is doing. He's contributing to others' happiness, others' development, others' empowerment. And that's what Gandhiji did. And that's why we are all here, empowered, independent and progressive. This is a line diagram which shows when we compare ourselves with others, right? And you feel so small. Okay. Now can you blame others for this or can you blame yourself? Who would you blame when you feel so small vis-a-vis others? Ourselves? Why? Because we compared, or we really had something lacking? If we were to focus on what was lacking and we develop our area of that resource, we slowly find that I grow. I am not meaning in terms of ego, but I grow as a human being. and then I contribute to others. Again, I'm not looking at, I will not do the same mistake what others did, or I did earlier. I will not compare others as small, belittled and all. No. I start comparing others and saying, okay, this is where I can contribute. And believe me, when you contribute to others' development, it's you who develops first and others certainly later. Any thought that comes to you, these 65,000 thoughts that come to us, use 3 filters: truth, good and useful. Discard the rest. If it's good for you, you know what is good for you. You know what is truthful. And finally, what is useful. I get hundreds of thoughts which I know they're not useful to me right now. I'm a student, I need certain thoughts. Tomorrow I'll be a careerist, I would need certain thoughts in my job. Yes, what is useful to me, what is good, what is truthful is what I should use, and that will lead to internal victory. There's something called SWOT analysis, everybody's heard about it, right? Will someone have the courage to tell me the weakness he or she has? A weakness. Strengths all of us have. I've seen you. Any weakness somebody would like to share? Will have the courage to share and make the choice to share? Yes? Loud, loud, even if the mic doesn't reach you. Carry on.
My biggest weakness is I am emotional at times.
You think it's weakness?
Yes, ma'am. It's a strength, but when it is not used in a proper way,
Yeah.
when I get emotional for wrong people at wrong time, it's my biggest weakness.
What is your name?
Me too.
Neetu? Thank you so much. Can you give her a big hand? For the courage she has shown and for the self-analysis that she has made, that she thinks it's a weakness. What do you do when you have a weakness? You get worried about it, you feel bad about it, or you try to come out of it. I will need to show some exercises which can help you come out of weaknesses, particularly on the emotional side. Yeah? We'll come to that. This is something called fishbone analysis. That is, asking questions one by one, and coming to a solution. By asking questions, I come to a solution. I'll give you an example. One staff of mine, PA, she would always come late to the office. And every day I say, I want to give a dictation, nobody's attending the calls, and every day there was a problem. I asked her, why are you getting late? So now question number 1, she answered, I have so much to do at home, and by the time I reach the bus stop, the bus is gone and I have to wait for the second bus and so on. Why do you reach the bus stop late? Because there's so much work to do. I have to do the cooking and cleaning and send my children and my husband and lunch box and so on. How much time does it take? And why you don't have that much time in the morning when you know it is everyday chore? I need about 2 hours. Okay, what time do you get up? I get up at 6:30. So by 8:30 I'm through, and by the time I'm late for the whole day. Why can't you get up a little later? Maybe half an hour. Because you're half an hour late to office every day. Why don't you pre-call it by half an hour? I can get up at 6 o'clock. Yes, I cannot get up at 6 o'clock. Why? Because I sleep very late. Why do you sleep very late? Because I see that serial. I will not name it. And is it useful? So who will make a choice? Huh? What is useful? What is good for you? If you don't make a choice, then you don't come up with a total analysis and a total solution to a problem. Huh? So the focus should be on the problem or the solution. Right? Neetu, at the end of this session, please write to, I'll give you my email ID. Come back to me with a solution. Yeah? All of us have tremendous problems. But can we find our solution? Nobody will give you solution. Don't wait for anybody to come and give you a solution. You can find with this fishbone analysis problem. Just keep on asking questions. This is unburden exercise. Broken hearts are there? Some broken hearts are here? No? This is emotional. Oh, she refused my friendship. Oh, I lost my degree, my distinction or whatever. Somebody has some problem. How do you unburden yourself? If you don't unburden yourself, this iceberg will come on the top. Yeah? If you go on bothering you, and the tremendous energy that you have will go to waste. So what do? It's a psychologically proven exercise, experiment. You take a piece of paper, write down what burdens you, your mind, emotionally or any problem. Write it down. with all the details that you want to write, which keeps on coming to you in these 60,000 frequencies, then just burn it. And it's not just physically burned, you say goodbye to it, okay? And you mean it. You say, after this I'm not going to think about it. If you say it with your inner strength, you will see to it, it will never bother you again, right? So first be truthful, write it down, and then just burn it, okay? It will go forever, okay? Because it's not good, it's not useful, so why waste your time and energy on that? Success consciousness. Now, on one side we burn all the unpleasant and all those irrelevant things that bog us down. On the other side, we start now accepting what we are. Yeah? We drop the resistance, the courage I said. Align yourself means do your SWOT analysis, focus on your strengths and opportunities, and then maintain a healthy attitude, love everybody as equals, no comparisons, be compassionate with those who are lesser, if at all, respect those who are more. Don't compare and feel little, but respect them. Oh, that's a star, that's an idol, that's a role model. Respect them and try to reach without belittling yourself is the strategy. Be indifferent to your enemies. Most others are, and they say, सबसे बड़ी मुसीबत लोग क्या कहेंगे, isn't it? हमारी सोच में सबसे बड़ी प्रॉब्लम लोग क्या कहेंगे. And in Punjabi they say sannu ki means how does it matter, right? Any Punjabi here? They say sannu ki means how does it matter? So be indifferent, yeah, and that will take care again of focusing on your issues, your development, your growth. And the time management, we talk of, again, important activities, not so important. Categorize your activities. I showed you the chart in the beginning. Categorize your activities. You decide what is important, what is most important, and then divide your time according to that. Is mental development important for you? Is an unburdened exercise important for you? You decide, give it. It just needs 5 minutes or few seconds. But then, you had it. You got the best of your energies left, all for your cherished dreams to become reality. I will not do this. This is time and hang your problems. Just as we talked of the unburdened exercise, just hang them out. They'll dry up. Yeah? Need not bother you. Health. Many of us really neglect that, and that is where I would say, when you step into 40s and 50s, you realize how important it is. The constant looking into the mobile phones, what it is doing to your eyes, yeah, and to your spinal cord. And those who keep on glued to the computers, what it is doing to your health. Yeah? How many of you are regularly going to for walks, jogs, gym? You start giving percentages on this. This is very important. And believe me, what you build now will last you till your healthiest, age ripe. Be independent in your thoughts, but then choose your thoughts very, very carefully. You can be the best of sportsman or woman or the scholar, whatever you want. There is no limit. Do not say I will reach that limit. No. Because you are unique and you have unique capabilities. Just give them a free hand. Just go on with that focus and with that energy, and you will really receive what you want to receive. This is an exercise where we say, look into the mirror. Those of you who feel a little shy while doing this kind of public speech, has anybody tried this? Speak it out before the mirror? It's very, very effective. You speak to yourself, and when you speak to yourself, look into your own eyes, and you will find a great strength coming in. That stage fear will go. Similarly, you want to go and tell somebody the truth about something, right? You can't hold on to those lies anymore. Speak to yourself, looking into your own eyes, and then go back and say, I want to say this. Yeah? You will have the conviction, and surely that person will see the honesty behind your talk. You will get the courage to do it. This is a very useful exercise. We showed these deposits and withdrawals. the contribution part that we mentioned was we go on depositing in this world, right? It may not come to me right now, like unlike the bank or the ATM, but believe me, whatever good I do to others will come in hundreds and multiples of that. I don't know when, but it shall come. That is the faith which keeps you going in doing good and creative things in your life every day. This is something called opposite thinking. This you try whenever you are most dejected. Something bad, very bad, some great accident has happened. Okay? What will be thought which automatically comes? Oh, I'm lost, I'm finished. Yes? And the psychologists say that the moment you train your mind to do just the opposite, just look at what is left with you. What is it that you can do now? What is the hope? You will find tremendous energy flowing in you just because you control your mind and the energy within. This is creating a shield around us. I talked about the fear of failure. Just how many of you are non-believers in God? Very few. So everybody believes in God. God is God. For me, it's an energy which is within me, right? And the more and more I use this energy, the more and more I create. Just have this, we all know there is energy, whatever name you may give it. Just feel that energy is around you. Having created you, like Amitabh Bachchan, having created you, there is somebody who has created you and somebody who is shielding you. The moment you have faith in that energy which has created you, you will find that all the fears, you can leave it to them. He has created me or she has created me and she will take care of me and move forward with courage. Sometimes we are very scared of going in the dark, right? All kinds of negative fear, oh something will come, I'll hurt myself, a lion will come, whatever. But the moment you think that there's somebody protecting me, who's created me, will protect me, you will find tremendous internal energy coming in and you then move forward without these negative thoughts really bothering you. Success is a journey and I wish this great journey of the empowerment, women empowerment and human empowerment lecture series give you success all along your life and that success gets translated into creating your future and creating future of others. Thank you so much.
Creating future. And by following the steps quoted by you, ma'am, there's no doubt that the students here can create a glorious future for themselves. Now the session is open for a few question and answers. I request the students, if you have any, we will be taking around 6 questions, 5 to 6 questions. In case you have any questions, you please ask. Ma'am is going to answer them for you.
I told them to find answers themselves.
In case there are already some questions, ma'am.
I have 2 questions for you, ma'am. One is about the women empowerment. As you people say that women empowerment, it is being developed nowadays. Why wasn't it there before when there was the constitution formed or something like that? Why wasn't there a women empowerment? And the second question is, why is that we have 33% of reservation when you people say it's a women empowerment, we need an equal rights?
Which seat? Wait. Which seat? Complain, compare, change. Change is what you want. Yeah?
Yes, ma'am.
So what is the answer? Should you get worried about what has not happened? Or should you go and create and change your future? Answer is yours.
To accept a felicitation as a token of our love and gratitude. I request our Chancellor sir and the trustees to kindly do the honors, please.
about women, whereas man also there in women. That also she covered. Really, I can say, today is a remarkable day in Reva University. There are many reasons for that. This program, Women Empowerment, we wanted to start a few months back. This decision we took on January 6th when Founders Day we celebrated. A day has come because we were waiting the right person and Madam was so busy. We were trying from last few months with a great difficulty, even with our hectic program today also she accepted and spent time with us. That is great. Moreover, my daughter Arati Raju and Tanisha Raju came here, my daughter-in-law. The reason is, why am I mentioning their names? We have started this as a social responsibility, and also my wife, I can say, she was an uneducated, educated lady. We started in her name, and this, whatever ethics and human values she was having, to continue in Reva University, we have to even follow those. That is what I really request you people. Whoever studies here, who is working, you who are working here, I always advise, we should have ethics here. Ethics, we should follow ethics, then only we can at least speak about ethics. As a university, everyone, particularly the people who are in teaching line and management, who are managing, all have to follow ethics. Madam told 7 C's. I think, even I advise all of you should again go through that presentation. You will understand a lot. Not once, you have to go through several times. Anyway, I don't want to take more of your time and Madam has to leave. Let us thank her with a big hand. Please give her. Definitely, Madam. I assure you that in Reva University, definitely we will follow all these things. Our children are so disciplined and really, they are all, in a day come, in future, they will become our role models because those are the ethics and they are learning here. I hope when we are all following as a management and showing what we are, they will also follow the same thing. Thank you, all the best.
Thank you, sir, for a very short and a very crisp presidential remarks. To place on records our deep sense of appreciation and gratitude to all those who made it possible to attend the inaugural session amidst their busy schedule, I now invite Ms. Balsari Patel to deliver a vote of thanks.
A very good morning to one and all present here. I, Bansari, have been granted the pleasure of delivering the vote of thanks for the inauguration function of Rukmini Memorial Lecture Series on Women Empowerment. It has been rightly said that there is no tool for development more effective than the empowerment of women. There is no force equal to a woman determined to rise. And today at Reva, we have taken a huge step to boost the confidence of each and every woman, to send across the message that she can achieve every milestone that she sets with unparalleled grace and that she is not alone in her endeavor. I'd like to start off by thanking the man.
I forgot to tell something. This Women Empowerment Forum should continue in the name of Unnati. forever. Yeah, we will be continuing this in the name of Unnati. You know the meaning of Unnati. And I hope all the women employees as well as students to definitely become role models of others. Even with this whatever presentation what Madam gave, we will be actually carrying this to various colleges where we have adopted 2 districts as per the advice of the government, that is Chikballapur and Ramnagaram districts. There in every college where we are going to present should be followed this presentation. After that, we have to start this with the presentation and then followed by our lectures there. Thank you.
As possible. Our Honorable Chancellor, Dr. P. Shyamraju, who has always been a strong advocate of encouraging women in every single way possible. I thank you very much, sir, for the continuous support and encouragement. I would also like to request sir to accept the token of our deep gratitude and affection. Thank you very much, sir. Next, I would like to thank our chief guest, Dr. Shalini Rajneesh. Thank you so much, ma'am, for such an inspiring address. Let's have a huge round of applause for ma'am. I would also like to take this opportunity to thank our trustees, Srimati R.T.B. Raju and Tanisha Raju, for being with us and gracing this occasion with their presence. I would like to request ma'am to accept the token of our appreciation. Thank you so much, ma'am. Next, I would like to thank Dr. V.G. Talwar, Vice Chancellor, Dr. S.Y. Kulkarni, Principal Director, Dr. Dhananjay, Registrar, Dr. N. Ramesh, Director Planning. Thank you so much, respected sir, for encouraging us at every step. I would also like to thank the principals of various institutions, Dr. Sunil Kumar Manvi, Professor Veena, Professor Shubha, Professor Bhairavada, and Professor Rajashekar. I would also like to thank the directors and head of departments of various schools and departments of Reva University. Lastly, I'd like to thank all the faculty, staff, and my dear friends. I would like to end my word of thanks with a shloka. Yatra naryastu pujyante, ramante tatra devata, yatra tastu na pujyante, sarvas tatra phalakriya, which translates to, the divine deities are extremely happy where women are respected. Where they are not, all actions or projects are fruitless. So all you women out there, you are the author of your own fate, you are the navigator of your journey. If you set your mind on accomplishing a seemingly impossible task, there is not a force in the world that can compel you to back down. Thank you. Have a great day.